Hello everyone, welcome to another real estate video. This is Javier Vidana, the real estate YouTube guy here in Phoenix, Arizona, helping you accomplish your home goals. So today's video topic is kind of exclusive to this time of year, but you may be watching it later, or you might be applying it to the next following year. We're here to talk about tax returns, and hopefully we will get one this year. But if we don't, let's assume we will. This is in regards to tax returns, because a lot of people wait until to get their tax returns, or maybe their whole home goals or buying a home revolves around getting this big chunk of change at the beginning of the year. So in today's video, we're going to discuss if it's better to use the money that you're going to get from your tax return towards your down payment of your house, or is it worth using some other source like down payment assistance, some kind of federal grant, or some way, somewhere, somehow, so that way you get to hold on to your money, but you get to use the down payment assistance in some way. So we're gonna have that discussion, and this video is not intended to try to trick you or try to persuade you into using your tax return. There are a lot of crappy realtors out there that are making videos about that. You can go and watch them. This is more or less for people who already have it in mind that they're going to wait till their tax return gets here, and they're just kind of curious to see, well, is it worth doing this or worth doing that? So other than that, let's get to it. So let's just run both scenarios, talk about the pros and cons of each, and then we can kind of decide, well, I mean, there's no clear winner which one is best. Obviously every situation is different, so I'll explain both as detailed as possible, and you can decide what you want to do and what's best for your family. So let's start off with keeping the money you get from your tax return and using some kind of down payment assistance programs. Well, the clear pro of this is you're going to be able to keep all those funds you're going to get as a tax return. And when you buy the house, you might have to dip into that. Hopefully you don't have to dip into that. Hopefully you have some money saved, but you should expect to pay maybe the home inspection, which is $300. Sometimes you have to pay the home appraisal if your lender isn't going to take care of it for you. So odds are, if you want to keep your tax return money, you probably are opting for a down payment assistance program. Every situation is different, and literally every month it's like changes, right? But I will say that the average thing that I'm seeing now in 2019, late 2018, even 2020, I guess I would almost bet money that it's still the same, is that if you're using down payment assistance, your interest rate's going to be a lot higher, and on average your payment's going to be about $100 to $200 more if you would have just paid your down payment. So that's probably going to be the huge con in this situation. Your payment's going to be $100 to $200 more, and I tell you what, it doesn't really add up, but if you think about it and you break it down, that's about $1,200 to $2,400 more that you're going to be paying nearly just in your monthly payment. So if you're considering keeping on to your money and using some kind of down payment assistance program, it does feel like you're going to be able to hold on to that money more, but just consider this whole calculation. If you're going to pay, let's just use the number $100. If you're going to pay $100 more on your monthly payment, and you got a $6,000 tax return, and you decide to keep that, now in a year you're going to pay $1,200 of extra payment towards the house. 2 years would be $2,400. Now if you look in the bigger picture, after 5 years of paying $1,200 extra per year, because you're paying $100 more a month, you're going to pay a total of $6,000 more on just your monthly payment. So the $6,000 that you receive as a tax return that you would have been using towards a down payment has now been paid in extra payments after 5 years. Not only that, but if you decide to keep living there, well, now you live there another 5 years, a total of 10 years, you're now paid $12,000 in total. So you've doubled what you would have put as a down payment only because you decided to do down payment assistance. So if you're going to go this route, it still makes sense to do it if you have a long-term goal and plan here. If you're buying this house just to be in it for 3 to 5 years, then it makes sense to do this. If you really need the money, maybe you're buying a house because maybe you want to keep on the money because you really just want to start fresh, that's totally fine. Maybe you want to use some of the money to remodel the house when you buy it, sure. But I will say that if you're going to stay in this house more than 5 years, you're definitely going to feel the hurt. Even though you received the initial money from the government, they're going to get you eventually if you stay there after more than 5 years. But it's not all bad, so it's good having a cushion there. So for some people, it makes sense to have $100 more in your monthly payment, and yeah, down the road, if you don't do anything about it, like refinance it or sell it before 5 years, you will pay that back. But having that $6,000 savings cushion there, and just in case of emergency, is very nice having. It's kind of like peace of mind. So either way, it's not wrong or right. Just make sure to really consider the risk, and if it makes sense for your family to do the down payment assistance and hold on to the money, then that's totally fine. But please, I urge you to have some kind of plan B down the road. Don't stay in this house for 30 years, because I mean, I did the math. For 10 years is $12,000. through 30 years it's going to be $36,000 and just more in payments. So if you are going to do this route, have a backup plan. Make sure it's only a 3 to 5 year house, or make sure you're going to refinance in 4 or 5 years. Do what you got to do to make sure to get out of that high interest. Now let's talk about plan B. You want to use the money that you're going to get from the taxes, use it as your down payment. So what is the pros and cons of that? The pros is you're probably going to get a lower interest rate because you're using those funds, and those are definitely, if you haven't seen any of my other videos, I talk about one of the main principal points of qualifying for a home or your down payment is it has to be verified income. Your down payment has to come from your paychecks, has to be some kind of source, maybe you sold a car, etc. It has to be verified. It can't just be like, hey, I just deposited 10 grand cash in the bank and now this is my down payment. So a tax return is more than enough for verified income. Your down payment will be at least $100 to $200 less just in interest because you didn't opt for a down payment assistance program. Maybe you have money saved on the side that you've been saving up for already. You get your tax return and now you combine those funds and you buy a house. Well, and now you're gonna have some left over from that, then that's totally fine too. But your odds are your monthly payment will be $100 to $200 less because of this. I guess a con of this would be that you've worked your butt off for saving up this money or for getting this tax return, and you're basically using all of your funds, and you might be exhausted of funds once you buy the house. Whereas if you were to use a down payment assistance program, yes, you are paying a higher payment, but you at least get to keep some cushion. So I personally and my family do not like to be without a cushion because I've just learned that it's nice to have, and you never know when something bad's going to happen or a family member needs some funds or something. So it is kind of scary to think to exhaust your funds. So to counteract that, I would still say, even though you're going to use your tax return money to use it as a down payment, just try to have something saved up as well. Just try to maybe an extra 2 or 3 grand just in case something were to pop up down the road. Some lenders, not all lenders, and especially your situation and your conditions, you might need 3 months of reserves for your payment. I had a comment a few months ago bash me about how dare I not tell anyone that you need 3 months reserves. Well, the situation is it's hardly ever brought up, and when it is brought up, it's because it's a very delicate credit situation where maybe you're barely qualifying. So regardless if the lender requires it or not, it is recommended to try to have 1 to 3 months reserves in your bank just in case of a rainy day. And of course, by paying your own down payment, you're removing yourself restrictions of the DPA programs, which I didn't talk about in the previous section, but I'll talk about now. A lot of down payment assistance programs require you to live in your house for at least 3 years. Most people are going to do that anyways, but it's nice to know that you can sell it at any time. However, I recommend you sell it after 2 years to avoid capital gains tax, etc. You know it, but you're not restricted to be in the house for 3 years. So those are the facts, guys. Once again, there's no wrong or right situation. Of course, I would love for everybody to buy a house with using a down payment. That way they get lower payment and all that fun stuff. However, it is also good to acknowledge that these down payment assistance programs serve a purpose. My first house was down payment assistance, and there's nothing wrong with that. Many people buy with down payment assistance for their first time. That's totally fine. But if you're buying your second, your third, your fourth house, it's not ideal to use that down payment assistance program. It's ideal to use your tax return for your down payment, or save up their down payment the old-fashioned way. I will tell you now, in this market, the majority of buyers I am getting are saving up their own down payment. If not, they're using some kind of DPA program that maybe they pay a little half of the down payment or something. So as we get back into this normal market where prices are a little higher, interest rates are higher, I am seeing that down payment assistance programs are becoming less likely and more a situation that's for someone to just stop paying rent and get out of the house. So it's not as common as it used to, but it is still there and it's still serving its purpose. So I hope this video helped you guys. I know it was a quick one, but I want to make sure to provide this information for anyone who might be thinking about it. If you want to watch more videos about real estate education, I have a library of them now to help you accomplish your home goals. Click on the links below. After, I'm sure YouTube is going to start blasting my videos to you now, so we would love to have you here on the channel. And if this video helped you, please subscribe and like. It really does help. If you happen to be looking a realtor, it's been a long day. If you happen to be looking for a realtor in the Phoenix, Arizona area, my contact information can be below. And if you're not in Arizona, my contact information can also be below. Feel free to call, email me. I'd love to help you out with any questions. And stay tuned, guys. There's actually some exciting programs that I'm going to be releasing for all my out-of-state buyers. So I know I really can't help you when you ask for referrals in other places, but I think I'm going to have a solution for that soon. So stay tuned for that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate your time. Make it a wonderful, wonderful day.